In my world for 41 years, I did not have a choice. Things out there caused me stress. People out there caused me stress. Circumstances out there caused me stress. Things that had happened in the past 25 years ago were causing me stress today. Things that might happen in the future that I was not knowing whether they were causing me stress. And things in the present that weren't the way I wanted them to be were causing me stress. So don't give me this crap that I have a choice. Because at my level of understanding, I didn't have a choice. But what we're saying is if you start to understand the nature of our true nature as a human being, as a spiritual being that's living here on earth and then going back home, then death even loses its sting. It's this is not our home. Might as well have fun. Sid used to say, once you realize it's a cosmic joke, you start laughing. And you have fun while you're here. You do the best you can. If this business fails or you say, well, what can I learn? And you keep trying to learn until your last breath, and you keep trying to see and try to love and be understanding and as best as you see. And life becomes real simple. And you do start to see you have a choice. That you don't have a choice of every thought that comes into your head, but you do have a choice of which ones you chew on. If you go out and take lessons in a Cessna, the instructor will teach you how to take off, and they'll teach you how to land. And then it'll come to a point that they'll teach you, and when I was in flight training, they would do this to us. And have I told you this story? They would teach you how to get out of a stalled when you stall out the airplane. So what he would do is purposely, he would take it up to about 8,000 feet, and he would check the airspace, and then he would go at an angle such that the plane would stall out and would lose ability, and it would go over into what they call an inverted spin. So he would do that, and he'd check and you're going and you're saying, boy, why did I sign up for this program? I'm going to die today. And he would say, now watch me when we get to 5,000 feet, watch how I get us out of this spin. Do you know what he did to get us out of the spin?
Do you kick left rudder or something and then full rudder and then do something with the stick? I can't remember what.
You let go of the controls completely. Now you may need, as you come out, you may give it some left rudder, but you let completely, because the plane is aerodynamically stable. So that when you let go of the controls, it comes out. And then you give a little and you're fine. So he does that. He takes you up again. And he does the same thing, gets to 8,000 feet. He checks the airspace. He does the same thing. He says, watch me when we get to 5,000 feet. He throws his hands off. The plane comes out. He gives it a little left rudder. He says, now it's your turn. So the student goes up and he says, now remember how I got us out. And he gets to about 5,000 feet and the instructor says, okay, let go. I know, I've almost got us out. I got us in. I can get us out. I know I can. He's had to rip people's hands off the steering wheel to keep them from crashing into the ground. Metaphor is pretty obvious, isn't it? When we're lost in our thinking, to try to use our thinking to get out of the spiral we're in is like that person trying to, you have to let go. Like Sid says, they're just passing thoughts. You got to let go of your attention to them. Refrain from analyzing, because I guarantee you, you will analyze yourself forever and fail bitterly to find peace of mind. But that's our ego. We want to be able to take credit for it instead of realizing that we're part of a system that is built to be aerodynamically stable. The default setting is back on glide path, but we've got to get out of the way of it sometimes. Then all we have to do is to know that that's available to us. I tell you, Linda and I I've said to her, I said, it's easy to talk the talk. That's easy when everything's going well and there's not a lot of uncertainty. It's about walking the walk, and we've had to walk the walk here. We've been faced with a lot of challenges, financially and otherwise. And I see it as an opportunity. I said, it's an opportunity for us to walk the walk, and she too sees that, to stay quiet, to stay in the moment, look for a nice feeling, like Sid says, listen for truth and look for beautiful feelings. And it is if we are being given 3x5 cards that take us to the next house. Those scavenger hunts where you go from house to house. It's like that, where we get a 3x5 card that takes us to the next step, and then we're in the unknown again. And then we stay quiet. We keep loving each other, being kind, staying in a nice feeling, not go over analyzing and seeing. We see what to do. We do what we see to do. It's not that we sit around contemplating our navel. Whatever we see to do, we do it. But then when we get to where we don't know what to do next, we allow our minds to quiet. And lo and behold, this wisdom, this divine mind, manifests into form as wisdom, as common sense, where you just see what to do next. When I say to parents, how many are parents? They raise their hand. How many of you remember a time with your children that you were reactive to them? You got reactive. Well, everybody kind of bows their head. I said, okay, how many of you remember times that they did very similar behavior, but you were in a different state of mind and you didn't get reactive with them? You instead responded in a way that calmed the situation and helped bring them back to their mental well-being. And every parent has always raised their hands. They can think of many instances. And I said, tell me if that experience when you responded wasn't the following. How did I know to do that? Even as you were saying things to your children, there was a feeling of it was coming through you and not something you had thought up. We've all had that experience. People have had it at work. I'm sure in your work you have that. Sometimes you say, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get this done. You get quiet and bam, it comes to you. I had a car mechanic that was learning this. And he said, I know this. I know this in my work, but now I see that in my life I could know it too. And I said, what do you mean, Joe? He said, well, if I'm working on a car and I get stuck and I go to the book, the manual for that car, and I just I just don't know what to do with it. I used to when I was younger, I'd end up injuring my hand or something. I'd get so, angry, or I'd break one of my tools or something. But he said, I've learned through the years that it means it's time to do something else. So he said, I'd go and work on another car. And while I'd be working on the other car, fixing it, little 3x5 card would son and say, Joe, you know what you really need to do on that? Oh, and he'd go, of course. And I'd go back and fix the other car. So people know this. If you can relate it to their real life, they know that there's a wisdom beyond the intellect that's available, but you're not going to find it by engaging your intellect when you're confused. There's a wisdom beyond the intellect that will bring us back on glide path, will bring us back home, will give us, one of the teachers, second generation teachers, has a book called Clarity. It'll bring us to clarity, whether it's in business, whether it's in my relationship, whether it's with my 15-year-old daughter or my 13-year-old son or my brother or whatever. It'll bring us to clarity. And it'll always be accompanied by a nice feeling, a gentle feeling. Call it love, call it gratitude, call it appreciation, call it compassion. It'll always be a feeling that feels really nice.